Welcome back to the 27. There's no better cure for a post-DLC release hangover than a sober review of the patch notes. I waited a few days to include a complimentary hotfix as well, so here we go, straight from Renato Simeoni. Automobilista 2 version 1.3.1.0 is now live! Along with the release of Racing USA Part 2 featuring 1990s American open-wheelers from Reynard, Lola, and Swift, as well as the Cleveland Burke Lakefront Road Course and Watkins Glen International. And then here's the big news, Road America. That's right, Road America to be added to the pack later on the month with further machines from that same era. We can look forward to two other generations of kart racing, a Generation 1 and a Generation 3. This DLC is the gift that keeps on giving. Scrolling down, this part is kind of irrelevant by the time you see this. The free weekend for Part 1 and Part 2 of the Racing USA DLC is officially over. Wah, wah. So let's get right into the changelog itself, and that's a great picture of the Reynard Honda as well as a Reynard Mercedes. They've added Cleveland Burke Lakefront Airport Circuit as well as Watkins Glen International, 4 different layouts there, so that's a total of about 6 tracks. They added the Reynard 98i, the Swift 009C, the Lola T98 to the Formula USA Gen 2 class, and again, 2 other generations are to come. Let's move on to general. They optimized the force feedback, custom script performance, and further revisions to shadow cascading parameters. Those appear to be more frame rate related, so that may be the effect that you'll see from those. They revised the AI suspension rates to minimize some cars appearing to jitter in online races, as prediction netcode for human players and multiplayer uses those same AI parameters. Now, what does that mean? This is actually huge for drivers, for broadcasters, for people that are watching replays. They're working on the jittering of some of the cars in game, and what they're explaining here is that they revised the AI suspension rates. And what does that have to do with it, right? Well, your car is calculating all of the physics, that all the complicated physics going on, but you don't have to know all of the complicated physics going around on all the cars around you. This will save you frame rates, it'll save you network bandwidth. What they do is they duplicate AI suspension rates even if your opponents are human players, so it's a more simplified system. What they did is they fixed it so it reduces the jittering for all of your opponents. That's awesome news. They fixed selection issues in the AI custom grids feature. They further adjusted some shadow cascading parameters. They mentioned that already. So moving on to UI and HUD, they added engine displacement, weight distribution, wheelbase specs to vehicle browser and loading screen. And the reason why I oranged this is for all of those telemetry guys out there. The weight distribution and the wheelbase are 2 RST parameters that we need to put in, and now that we know what the official ones are, it's easier for us. They also added driver flags to post and pre-session leaderboards, and then some other UI and HUD improvements as well. Moving on to the physics, minor tire tread revisions to GTE, GT3, Formula V10, Gen 1, Gen 2, Formula Risa, and Super V8. They continue to work on the anti-lock braking system for all of the cars. They also added some compounds and revised others. They added wets and hard compounds for FUSA G2. Wait a second. They revised the medium and hards for Formula Ultimate. In my opinion, for FUSA, you should stick with the softs for now, at least until the track temperatures make the softs unusable, which they don't appear to be. Softs are relatively usable even at hotter track temps. It's better as far as track time is concerned to use softs, pit for new softs, or try to conserve them. They're faster than the hards all around. They adjusted the helper spring rates for the Porsche Cup, the GT3R, and the RSR GTE. Helper springs, in this case, is synonymous with tender springs, and basically it means it's a progressive spring rate. That means that the cars can start to handle track bumps and curbs a little bit better. That's could help a lot of the bounciness that we see in the Porsches that we've had historically. They updated the Super V8 suspension, reducing sprung mass, revised splitter arrow. In this case, I think they meant to write unsprung mass. If they were reducing sprung mass, that means they're just reducing the weight of the car, not the suspension. So here I believe they mean unsprung mass. That's the wheels, your spindles, your brakes, anything that's not resting on the springs. They revised AI suspension parameters, should minimize issues with AI potentially rolling or bouncing off high curbs on some tracks. That's always good to see. And then we're moving on over to the Hotfix. Let's see here, some bullet points. Corrected engine specs for FUSA cars. And earlier when they first released them, I think they all had a uniform horsepower. Now it's more delineated. The Honda comes in at a whopping 903 horsepower. The Ford and the Mercedes Reynards both have 887. And the poor Toyota has a horsepower of 872, although it gets extra points because I think it has the coolest livery, the Reynard Eagle. They adjusted tire wear rates for FUSA, FV10 Gen 1, and Formula Ultimate tires. They adjusted AI suspension rates further for the Cadillac DPI, Formula Ultimate P1, GTE, GT3, GT4 to minimize issues when running over curbs. That's great. At Watkins Glen, they updated some trackside cameras, thanks Norbsy. And finally, they added an antenna vibration to the Swift 009C. In my case, it's like a finger wagging at me whenever I make a mistake. So let's go look back at some of these pictures here. It's a great picture of a cart at Watkins Glen. Scrolling up, we have a couple of other Reynards there. Glorious picture of that Reynard Eagle that I mentioned before. That's probably one of the best liveries in the game, in my opinion. And then again, another version of the Reynard Eagle, and I believe that's a Swift. So that is the update and hotfix review. You are now officially up to date. If anything important comes along, I'll be here to let you know. So keep me in mind. Coming up, more Sealcast 27 live. I have a brand new setup series. The first episode is in the can, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and take care.